Let me try to explain this to you, because I think this will be such a breakthrough when you finally get this down. It is about money lessons, about boundaries in union. So we're talking about money, we're talking about boundaries and psychological lessons, we're talking about in union, in harmonious union, what that means there, not somewhere else. Not in another mind attunement, heart attunement, soul attunement, however you want to call it. In harmonious union, that's important to know. Say, just an example. Say you have a situation in which you are with your twin flame and then they need money because they have this plan in their business or their career or their artistic venture or their project. And you would be like, yeah, I want to go closer with them. I want to grow closer with them. I want to invest. I do have some money to invest. And they don't. And I want to grow in union together. So this is also a great chance to get closer. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to give them the money that they need. It's like a big sum, maybe of five numbers or something, 5 figures. And it's just an example. I'm making this up. And yeah, maybe we even have some sort of, we sign some sort of a contract, and then things start to work. But our union is not really in sight yet. We're actually not yet in union and also not yet in harmonious union. I know that I said that this would be a thing about in harmonious union, but that comes later. I just need to build the example, some sort of. And the union is not really coming, and their career is actually also not really going in the direction that they thought they could with this money. You're not sure what they're doing with it. Was this really a good idea? Is it really helping them? Not sure. Is it really bringing you closer? Well, not exactly. So what's going on here? I don't understand. And should I think with my, let's say, my union brain and say, oh, but we're one, so everything that is mine is his, and here is it. Here is it. There you go. All my money that I worked 3 decades on to get this number in savings or whatever it is. There you go, we're one. I know the spiritual truth, but did you already go through the revelation process? Also something to think about. Do you already have a twin flame teacher that is actually knowing what they're doing, that is initiated by the divine to be that has, together with you, concluded that this is all correct, what you're assuming? Things to keep in mind. But you've just given all that money and you're now seeing what comes from it. And then they meet someone else and they start dating this other person. And you're like, well, that's not really what I wanted, is it? And then they even propose to that person. They prepare to get married to them. And you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm happy for them or something, maybe, I'm not sure. And then you're like, yeah, but at least we have this artistic or business venture, right, in our contract and stuff. But is that really working? Yeah, it's also not really going anywhere. Right. So what is the problem here? And then after even more time passes and you finally sit yourself down and you feel like, oh, but what is going on here? When I look at sane psychology, I finally have this self-insight, which is okay, is good. We all learn I learn every day, don't be mistaken. I finally see that in psychological land, I actually should have had boundaries that I did not protect because I just gave my money and it's not really working. This is not a good deal. There's nothing coming back. I didn't get anything out of it. I thought we were going to get closer from it, which also didn't really work. Maybe he needed something and I should have had boundaries. Like, I love that you have this question for your career. I'm all for people that start to invest in themselves. Yeah, I'm behind you when you're starting to look for how you're going to solve that. But I'm not going to give my money in that direction without any second thought or really good thinking through and knowing what you're doing, and or already being married or already being in harmonious union and all these things. And even then, it's not that suddenly psychological sanity goes out of the window. That's not true. So that is something that I wanted to say something about. And I wonder actually if I would be able to explain it, but I just have this feeling that when I would be able to explain it to you, it would help you so much. So I'm trying, okay, I'm trying. And it is because this is a money example, because also we're in this period in which I make money videos, because that's a big theme in everybody's life, also in your journey to union. And also because it's a thing that just is very common, money issues. And also because money issues are able to be resolved with inner work just like any other issue. And also because actually you could swap this idea with an emotional issue, let's call it like that, or a relational issue that you would be more willing to see as about my union or about my relationship. While money issues are often also relational issues, of course, right? So I think it would help you so much if I could make this clear to you. There are many things actually involved here. And one of the things that is involved in this situation I'm trying to portray to you is that we're talking about different levels. Did you know that the way to deal with relationships and with money and your relationship with money is a certain level of life, of trying to be sane, trying to be healthy, not being codependent, not being abused, etc. That's a certain level of mental health, of spiritual sanity, that psychological literature writes about, right? That perhaps life coaches talk about. And then we have the union layer. Then you're like, but we're twin flames, so it's a union. We're in union layer here, right? This is union. This is already harmonious union, because I know in my core that's where I should be able to live, etc. I already live there, isn't it? Harmonious union. So now we should take everything into account and just, I mean, in a sense that like embrace everything as one, etc. And like give away my money to him, and because it doesn't matter now, does it? And what more? No, well, actually be codependent or something, because we're in you. This is my twin flame, isn't it? So then it seems like other rules are suddenly valid in this psychological sane layer of life, level of where you're living in. And that is not true. That's not how that works. You can't put the union and the harmonious union, oneness life, phenomenon, and put it at the same level, on the same place, treated the same as psychological sanity. That's not where that belongs. That's not that level. That's not interchangeable. You can't go from I should have boundaries and take a couple of steps before I invest my money towards we're twin flames, so this is union, so it doesn't matter, so I just share my money and it's all right, right? This is all one big codependent oneness or something. And then now you've equated that psychological sanity field inside of you with union, harmonious union. This is my twin flame. You think that. You think you know what union is. You think you know what harmonious union is. And it's like, this is just one thing. Well, you can't do that. That's incorrect. You're not a wrong person, like morally wrong or anything, but it's just incorrect. Union, living as one in harmonious union, is a level that is superimposed, let's say, on the sane psychology level that is underneath it, inside of it. It is a bigger whole level that takes more of you into account than only the psychological body. It takes the bigger whole that you are into account, where you're directly connected to the divine, where you're directly connected to your twin flame. That's the deeper layer of you. Even deeper than most spiritualities go towards, like the depth of where they go to. So that's kind of a deep layer. And yeah, of course, we're going to live that in the world. We are going to live that in the world. That's what we're going to do. But there's a process to it, okay? And I try to explain this because I hope it helps. I'm still not there. So this is this bigger layer. Underneath it, you're a human being too, with a physical body, with a psychological body, just living there, fulfilling your needs, etc. But now you're clicked into this invisible, all-encompassing bigger layer of the deeper truth of what you are. That's what twin flames are. That's what union is, and harmonious union all the more, because then you know that you're clicked in there, and you know that this relationship is direct and keeps on being direct with the divine and the twin flame, vertical and horizontal. But when you're not there yet, that is not there yet, okay? So that's something to keep in mind as well. So you can't equate this bigger level with the psychological level that we're often dealing with, whether we have this money issue or we have a relationship issue such as they married another and I don't like that, or they're unkind to me back while I do my best so much and I don't understand why, and I think they should change. These are the emotional relationship issues that we can also sometimes play out with our twin flame, or the one that we think is the twin flame. And that would be something of the same thing. It plays out. They have another, they're unkind. That plays out in the psychological layer within what is the bigger layer of union and eventually harmonious union. And you can't say that that's the same. You can't equate that, because otherwise we would all read 2 books about psychology and be in twin flame union and make it harmonious the next day. Well, that's not what happens. So that is why the twin flame journey is different and sometimes regarded as difficult, because you don't understand these things. They're not clarified to you yet, that we're dealing with another layer and therefore also with other tools and sort of other laws, if you will, to make that work. It actually means that you're eventually in harmonious union, and keeping in harmonious union, you're going to live following those other laws and rules, so to speak, all day long. And psychology becomes a thing that is still inside of you, that's becomes more of in the direction of a footnote, because you go through movements and something transforms. And then you see, looking back, what was the wrong psychology, and now you're healed. And then you can read a beautiful book about what was so wrong in the past, and you get a lot of explanation. But you have already moved on to the new transformed state. That's what will happen in harmonious union. And that will also happen with our money example. When you think about this problem, then you would say like, okay, so when this is my twin flame, I know we're going to this union and harmonious union. So what I actually had needed to do and what I need to learn now is I need to learn to have boundaries with my twin flame, isn't it? Because that's my psychological lesson. I mean, this was a deep thing for me, is, for instance, the example. So this really feels like a real lesson with a depth of a spiritual lesson, even though it's a psychological thing that I should erect in myself. Be more concise with boundaries. Okay. But then when you do the twin flame inner work and you would truly feel this lesson out, we do that with the key tool. I have videos on my channel that explain how that is done. We do a lot of the inner work. You can get support for that in my Facebook group called Your Abundance. You would be very welcome there. There's a link to go there directly underneath this video. And when you're inside, I will show you what we have to do there. There's a lot to do there. So, for instance, a monthly program with 4 events and also just beautiful downloads. A lot of posts and videos that explain it to you already, just like that, and more. So when you do this twin flame inner work and you get to learn that you would welcome boundaries inside of yourself, and that feels good and that feels better for you, and that's the transformation that you're going. That might be a transformation that you're doing. But then when you would have transformed into that and now have a psychology that is more healed in the direction of being able to have boundaries, now you're a psychology inside the union that is able to have boundaries. Very good. You truly healed that. Your psychology is much better structured, much clearer to you what is your, this is still a great way to deal with people and this is really not okay for me. That distinction, and you know that you can honor yourself in that with your authentic feeling power. You've erected that in yourself. Perfect. But now you're going to move in union 2 and in harmonious union 2. And this is the last thing that you've healed in yourself. So, and should you then still have a boundary with the money with your twin flame? And this is where it becomes different, because when you are truly in union, in harmonious union with your true twin flame, well, that's the only place where it is sane to have your money shared. For better or for worse, I mean, you still need to make good deals. And within that space, you're now learning to have boundaries. You're really grounding in that. That feels good. Your psychology is more healed. But then in the union, they will be healed as well, because you're twin flames. So that changes the whole money problem. Maybe that changes the whole deal with where this investment is starting to go and how successful that is. And then even you will see that it will be so healed inside of you to the utmost degree that you actually don't need to be overly, oh, stop, twin flame, don't do that, don't go there, oh my God, no. You don't need to do that enormous outside directed action about it anymore. Give me back my contract or whatever. Because now you're just standing here as a healed whole, as a healed unit within your union, which also means that they will heal, they must heal too in their way, in this situation. when you maintain your healing as being healed. And you actually don't need to overact your, now I'm a person with boundaries anymore. Because you're healed, and because you're in union and in harmonious union, and that is the safe place to share these lessons, and also know that you can share the money and know that they will change when you've changed. But as you've heard, there are a whole couple of things on the way there. There is it really your true twin flame? Did you have a teacher? Is it really revealed to you that it's a true twin flame? Are you in union? Are you in harmonious union? Is that indeed a sound step to take in your union? Or is it actually not a sound step to take at all? Not for you, not for them, not for both. Learn your lesson, heal it to completion, because that's what we do in union. We heal to completion the psychology inside of that bigger layer, so that the psychology will then be correctly and sanely erected inside of us, and we actually don't need to overcorrect on the outside with actions anymore. It will fall into place there. Even when we would say, okay, now we're in union, now we're in harmonious union, now we have a money deal, I resurrected my boundaries inside of myself. You healed too because of this, because I did that in myself. Now we can see what kind of investment this is or this was in this business of yours or of us together, because we're in union, depends on how you see it. It's actually always us then. And now we can see, was this an investment that was correct or not? Maybe it was not so favorable, and the conclusion of that one is that it was favorable because we learned so much. We came in union, we repaired our psychology, and now it's okay. So what I want to get at is that it's not only that, okay, I gave my twin flame so much money, I should have boundaries, that was dumb of me, I must correct myself and overperform from now on with anybody that I suspect might be my twin flame or what have you, or anybody at all. That's not necessarily true. That would be only a separate you with only a psychology that you're only doing very much your best inside to repair. But you were talking to me about this whole thing because it was about the twin flame. And then there's always a deep lesson that you both share because of this situation. And then when you learn this lesson because of this situation, then you can come closer. When you can come closer, you can come in union. When you can come in union, you can come in harmonious union. When you're there, you start to share your financial space and your lessons. And when you resurrect your psychology correctly inside of you, not as, ooh, I have a problematic psychology, let me pay attention so that I do it better and better next time and even better. No, you just resurrect that inside of yourself in the right way, and you don't need to do anything or correct anything. You're just healed. And then they will be healed too. So is that like a wrong situation that we started with? Well, yes, but also was it dumb? Well, yes, but also no. Because when it's your twin flame, it must pay back, even when it's a lesson, even when that is everything that you get out of it. And then it must bring you closer, etc., following all those steps. So what you will experience in harmonious union is this. You experience something awful. You see that this is out of order. It's not even psychologically sane. It's maybe even like control or abuse or like financial detrimental mistakes, which happens a lot. Maybe I'll talk more about that. But I mean, financial illusions blown up into a whole situations are for a reason also, part of what often happens with twin flame situations and the healing of that and stuff, that's why I talk about this stuff. But let's say So you're in harmonious union and you're having something that is really out of order and it really hurts and it's really dumb. And you indeed never, also not in harmonious union, should just give your energy away. Well, then you just get reflected that to you just the same. And you'll fall out of harmonious union too, because you're really in that, and it comes back. You're not connected to the divine inside of yourself. You're not connected to you. You're not connected to your union. It's just like a ping pong of throwing things back and forth, but that is not how union is. Union is a connected space. So, yeah. But unconnected things come up for healing. They do, also in union or in harmonious union. And what happens then is you really take that on as your inner work. You do the key tool, you heal yourself genuinely on the inside, in the heart. And this enormous psychological problem that you need to heal starts to be truly healed. To such a degree that it stops existing altogether in you and therefore also in them. And then you take a deep breath and you've now taken your power back. And you sink into the bigger reality of union in a new way. And the whole thing about psychological manipulation of yourself to do it better is not what's going on. You just accept what is here. And there's a lot of abundance coming in as an extra, as this new energy that you've now healed into. And the most beneficial solution will just arise as a given. I don't know what it is. Maybe this deal just falls away and it was worth the lesson. Or it gets transformed into something that is beneficial financially, whatever it is. And because you're in this new space now, that won't happen again. And you've truly healed that boundary psychology issue so that you now feel in your power. Your inner energy is repaired. And you actually start to feel empowered. You start to feel that you've turned it completely inside out, like a sock when you fold it to put it back in the drawer. You turn the sock inside out. You're turned inside out. And now you start to understand then that instead of giving the twin flame without many questions half of your fortune, what you're going to do is something completely different. You're going to start to leverage the value of your presence in the union. You start to take yourself into account as a full force in the union space that you share with them intimately, in which life is indeed as one. And the full force, the full weight of your presence there, taking into account money and sexuality and everything, every force of life, might bring you to very different proposals and co-creations that work in a way that is the inside out, that is the sock inside out. And now you're working together with the bigger mind of things, and you start to understand that you're not giving away your money or energy or your sexual energy, for instance, also, which is sort of the same, because sexual energy and money energy is all energy. but instead something new comes into being. Something entirely new that you're going to ask them to contribute to your presence there with finances and with intimacy. And you find an arrangement that you might also write down as a contract that they're actually going to give to you. And then you start to understand that your reason in their existence is so that they can give to you, so that they can receive, because they receive you. And I don't know what kind of arrangement that's going to be. That's just an example. That something else comes outside of it. The sock is turned inside out. Completely and utterly. And that's all going to be a movement in which you grow closer, more intimate. Taking into account the boundaries of money and the leverage of money and sexuality, if you want to see this entire issue like that, which would actually also be a very good idea. Perhaps more about that later. Oh yeah, lots to say about sexual energy too. I'm sure we'll talk about it a lot in the future, in the near future. We can make a whole theme about that too. So I hope this was helpful and you could feel through my example something of the energy movement that I tried to explain to you about how this works. Going from a psychological issue that costed you money and energy and a lot of problems and separated you more, into turning it inside out by doing the inner work, letting go of the psychological issue entirely, because you've healed it, and now you're not busy anymore with, I need to have boundaries, but you're going to invent something from the sock inside out way that says something completely different, a completely different kind of co-creation with a completely different kind of investment that brings you closer, and that takes into account the value that you have inside that union pod. You will forget that you had a psychological issue. The psychological layer will be taken into the bigger union layer and melt into that. It won't be able to be distinguished anymore from the union layer on this issue, on this point that we're talking about. Many more might follow. That's the process. And that could be your money lesson about boundaries in union. How to do money inner work. In this video, I will show you how and just take you along with me. You will see it here in a couple of seconds and I will see you there. Love from Petra. Dansen van verhalen, de verbinder van beweging. Ik ben de danser van verhalen.